Dear Diary, making the decision to immigrate to Calgary felt like I was placing an Amazon order for freedom, endless possibilities, social security, and a beautiful world of seamlessly integrated multiculturalism. Only instead of autofilling my credit card information, clicking buy now, and receiving my package the next day, I spent months filling out paperwork and acquiring various documentations. And I spent years waiting for my visa. And when my metaphorical package finally did arrive, it wasn't exactly what I ordered.
We're Onyie and Tommy, and on Diary of a Niger Immigrant, we're talking about what happens after you buy that one-way ticket. We'll chat with guests and hear their immigration stories. We'll commiserate, celebrate wins, and gossip about recent microaggressions. Buckle up, y'all. Today's guest is none other than Onyie, the Onyie, co-host, creator of Diary of a Niger Immigrant through Onyie's lens. So this episode's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. How are you feeling?
Oh my God, I am so nervous. I'm like, okay, let's just rip off the Band-Aid.
Yes, let's
do it.
It's episode 1. This is your dream. This is your baby. Diary of a Niger Immigrant. It's coming to life. This is so exciting.
I'm so excited. I don't want to get emotional. I'm happy.
Do it. Get emotional.
I am a bit nervous because I feel like I'm going to be throwing my story out there and I'm going to be vulnerable and just, but I'm also excited because I've always wanted people to actually know the truth about what it is to buy that one-way ticket. It's not easy wanting to be vulnerable, but at the same time, if I know that people are going to benefit from my experience, I'm more than happy to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And yes, it's so true. Like that vulnerability, being open about your story can be so scary, but you're so right. It's such an important story. And I think a lot of people are going to learn from it.
I hope so.
And that's why we're here. So let's dive in. Can you just start by telling us a little bit about your journey? I mean, obviously, you're here. We're here in Mokintis, Calgary, and you were not born here. You bought a one-way ticket. Tell us about that. Tell us about where you're from, what brought you here.
Okay, so I am originally from Nigeria. I'm an Igbo girl, born and raised in Lagos. And lived most of my life in Lagos, right? Had different experiences in Nigeria, like the full Niger experience. But I'd always wanted to live in Canada.
Interesting.
Always wanted to, because my dad actually went to school here in Canada.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So like I had always had Canada at the back of my mind. Like I remember in high school when people ask what university would you like to go, and I would say University of Toronto.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I had always wanted to live in Canada because my dad lived in Canada and I had cousins in Canada, and I kept blaming him. I was like, why would you go to school in Canada and then move back to Nigeria? Why? Like, why didn't you give me a fair chance at a better life? Because my cousins are here. My uncle lives in Ottawa, and he had all his kids here. They do it, so it was very exciting to actually dive into it finally.
Okay, so you kind of always expected to end up here.
I always expected to end up here, but like I thought it was gonna be very, very rosy.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was like, why would you live in Canada? And then you decide to go back to Nigeria. Like, are you crazy or something?
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, it's the dream.
Yeah,
Canada
it's
is
the dream. Like,
so what was that moment for you? What was that moment of like, I'm doing this? You know, you're already established. You have your master's. You have your life. You have a relationship. Like, you're already established. What made you be like, okay, this is happening. I'm doing this. Let's go.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think it was, first of all, like I have a very supportive husband. So I think that really helped. And then also, I just wanted to give, I felt like if I didn't have the chance at bringing my dreams alive and having the Canadian dreams, I owe it to my kids to give it to them, right?
You have kids?
I have 2 kids.
You have 2 kids? Wait, what?
Like, do I know you?
You have 2 kids? Oh
I
my
do.
God. I'm learning this in real time.
I have
We have
2
had
young kids.
how many meetings, how many hangouts? I had no idea.
Oh yeah, I do have
Wow,
2
the story
kids.
got so much more exciting. I can't believe this. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So you were like, this isn't just a decision for you. This is a
Yeah.
decision for a lot of people.
Exactly.
That is weighty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
So you were like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm doing
Yeah.
this for my family.
Yeah.
This is what I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. And it was just okay. When I was pregnant with my first child, I wanted to have him in America.
Okay.
And then it just felt like as soon as I got married, I couldn't travel out of Nigeria anymore.
Why did
'Cause-
it feel like that?
Yeah, because like when I was dating my husband, we applied for a Schengen visa to go to France and we got denied. And then I got pregnant with my first child. And then like I was very honest. I was like, I want to have my child in America because I wanted to give my child a better future. And I was so scared of the Nigerian medical system because I lost my mom to the Nigerian medical system.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I was just scared
Yeah.
and I wanted something else for my child. And so I applied for the American visa and I got denied.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my cousin was about to get married, the one that lives in Ottawa. And we wanted to come to Canada for that purpose. I had a job in Nigeria. Like I was going to come and then leave. So my son and I, because I had already had him, went and we applied for, even my dad, like someone who had lived a chunk of his life here. We applied for the Canadian visa and we got denied. I was like, no, this is bad. I was like, nah, I have to do something about this. So like, I was like, maybe now is the time to actually leave. Because they are scared that most of the refuse, even the UK, like I applied for a UK visa and I got denied. And most of the refusal was that they weren't sure I was going to come back to Nigeria. So I was like, I told you guys the truth, that I was going to come back to Nigeria.
So what type of visas are these that you're
Just
applying for?
visitor visas.
Just visitor.
And I was denied.
Wow. And I imagine this is what, like, a couple months? Like, what's that?
Yeah.
That visitor visa. What, like, how long can you stay?
Like, just not even a couple months, like maybe a week or 2
So
or
you're
10
talking
days.
just a literal regular visa
a
just to go like
yeah.
on vacation, just to go visit someone.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I got denied. I was like, no, there has to be something wrong with the Nigerian passport.
Oh my
I was like, no.
God.
It's-
Okay, this is
it's not
crazy. Like I
happening.
know it's so difficult to get a visa
Yeah.
to come and live and stay and work and all of that. But just to literally visit
Just
for
to
a couple weeks, a
visit.
week.
Yeah.
Like,
So like,
crazy.
if they don't think I'm going to come back, then maybe I'm not meant to be in Nigeria. Maybe I'm actually not meant to come back. So I was like, okay, now I am actually going to start the process to actually leave. And that was when I started to, I had to consult an immigration lawyer. I was like, okay, we want to go to school in Canada. What would it take? And yes, I'm not sure I'm going to come back, but this is like, I was honest with them and they were like, yeah, your status can change afterwards and we could totally make it happen. And guess what? We applied for the first, like, I was supposed to start my education at SAIT, the winter semester of 2020.
Okay.
And so we applied in 2019 and we got denied, even after applying with a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah. So then we were like, we've got to fight this. Like, there's something wrong. If there's actually something wrong, then just tell us what the problem is and let's know what's happening. But I cannot just get stuck in this country that I cannot leave. I can't travel when I love to travel. So then we decided to go to court.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This story
Yeah.
is just getting spicier and spicier.
Yeah.
This is so
And so many people
crazy.
don't know that you can actually go to court. They just let it go and they're like, oh, they denied me and that's
yeah,
it.
you can fight a denied
Yeah.
application. I did not know that.
Exactly. So then we went to court. They wanted to settle out of court. So they decided to do a redetermination. But that took a long time because we're talking 2020. COVID started, right?
Yeah.
So it took a long time. I did my first year in Nigeria because I applied again to start in winter of 2021.
Okay.
So the whole of 2021, I did my first year
Mm-hmm.
from Nigeria online.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2022, finally moved with my two kids.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah.
so you were doing your first year like through SATE, but online?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
online.
Wow. Okay.
That was maybe one of the good things about COVID
Mhm.
was that you could study from anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Even though my network provider wasn't so cooperative of everything,
Yeah.
but it was hard, especially with the difference in time zones, right?
Hmm.
But we had to make it work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is from that decision of like, okay, I'm, going to leave and maybe not come back. Like
Mhm.
that decision of like, I'm getting that one-way ticket.
Mhm.
How long was that process?
I would say it almost took 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
2 years.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have this thing that you want, that you're working for, that you're getting rejected for over and over again. You're
Mhm.
fighting for it.
Mhm.
And then you get it. So walk me through that feeling. First of all, like I imagine there's waves. First of all, it's like, wow, this is happening. We won.
Mhm.
We're moving. This is
Mhm.
big. And then there's actually like landing here, like the plane lands. Remind me again, when did you arrive? What month?
It was December
It was December.
28th,
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
2021.
So you arrive, the plane lands, it's winter.
Yeah.
You arrived in, was it Edmonton?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Tell me about like
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. I remember because the journey wasn't easy. No part of it was easy.
Mhm.
Because then COVID started, Omicron started,
Mhm.
and so we had to go through Dubai because Nigeria
Ah.
got banned.
Mhm.
And so we had to stay in Dubai for 2 weeks
Mhm.
before coming to Canada. And my friend lives in Edmonton, so we wanted to have like that touch point before actually moving to Calgary, right?
Mhm.
And I remember thinking to myself, oh, once I finally entered this promised land, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, hell, I will just
Game
lie
over.
down on the floor.
Yeah.
When I
Life
see
is good.
people's videos and they're like, see snow, do you still want to come? Like, what is wrong? Come on, Koshilaja.
It's the promised land.
Yeah, I was like, I will lie down on the snow, like I will dance, I will scream, I will do this and that. I was like, oh my God, once I finally set foot.
Mhm.
But then reality set in, right?
Mhm.
And we landed in Edmonton, -40.
Oh Jesus.
It was brutal.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. And I remember looking like from the airport and my friend was coming and she was like, okay, we're coming. The weather is bad. I was like,
It's like,
come,
heads up.
Jerry, like, which one is the weather is bad? Just come. So she came and she was like, are you ready? She gave us some jackets and she was like, are you ready? I was like, I've been ready my whole life.
Yeah.
Open the door, girl.
Like I've been waiting.
Yeah. And then she finally opens the door and we go, ooh. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My kids were screaming.
My God.
I was like, what is this?
Right?
Like,
you can't anticipate that.
you
right?
cannot.
Yeah.
There's no way to explain to anybody how the winter in Canada, in Alberta is, right? It might be, I don't know how it is in a different province, but in Alberta, it's just brutal. It's frigid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I remember getting to her house and I was kneeling down on the floor and I was singing and I was crying. I was happy. Like it hadn't really sunk in that, okay, we landed in -40.
Sure. You're just like, we're here. Like you've worked so hard for this moment.
And of course, like there was a car to take us to the house, right? And so I was happy. Yeah, I expressed that thing I said I was going to do. I did. I was very happy. I was relieved. I was like, finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge moment.
Yeah.
Right there. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
I'm
It
here. Like, I
happened.
did it.
Yeah. But then there was this overwhelming feeling of not being motivated anymore. Because I was then like, okay, we're here. What next?
Yeah.
And for some reasons, Edmonton wasn't giving me that vibe. No disrespect to Edmonton, but it wasn't giving me that.
I have
And
so much to say about Edmonton, but I won't.
so
This
like,
isn't about me. Keep going.
no, please say it. I want to hear.
I don't want to alienate our listeners.
Oh my goodness. So then I remember the next morning, because of course it was late in Nigeria, so my husband couldn't call and all of that. So I
Wait,
remember,
so you arrived by yourself?
I
with
arrived
your
by
kids?
myself with the kids.
'Kay.
Just me and the kids.
Yeah,
My husband was still in Nigeria.
Okay.
And I remember my husband calling in the morning and he was like, it's so dark. What time is it? I was like, 8 a.m. He was like, why is it so dark? I was like, I don't even understand, man. Everybody's still
Winter,
sleeping. Like,
baby.
yeah. I was like, I don't know. He was like, have you looked outside? Is there snow? I was like, of course.
Is there snow?
Do
That's
you
adorable.
know? I was like, yes, as if you know what we went through. Like, I remember him literally going like
Oh
we
my
made
God.
it. Like, you're finally there. So, like, he was so happy. And then he was like, go outside, take photos, do this, do that. I was like, no, it's freezing. I can't do it. And then he was shocked. Like, this is something you've always wanted.
Yeah.
Why don't you feel motivated and all that? Because it was almost like I told him, this is my dream, so it has to be your dream. And so he was motivated to do this because I wanted this so much.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's the one now pushing me to like explore and enjoy the moment. And I couldn't. I was just numb at that point because I was like, what do I do at this point?
Can you describe what else was at play other than the cold? And believe me, I understand that the cold and winter and the darkness is very, very significant. And that can take a huge toll on anyone's mental health, regardless of your situation. But what were some of the other things at play for you that kind of led to that feeling of like demotivation?
Yeah. Well, I think it was mostly after, because I stayed in Edmonton for about 10 days, right? And it wasn't so difficult because we were in a family house, my friend's house. She's married, so she has a house of her own. She has a car to take us wherever we wanted to go. But then, like, when they brought us to Calgary and I was now all by myself and I had to look after the kids.
Yeah.
I had to go to school. I had to navigate the whole winter situation with 2 kids on my own. And I'm talking 2 very young kids.
Yeah.
My daughter wasn't even up to 18 months when we came.
Oh my God.
And my son was about 4 when we came. So, like, he's throwing tantrums. She's throwing tantrums.
Yeah.
I'm not having it. I'm like, oh my God. And like in Nigeria, you have house helps, right?
Yeah.
You have help wherever. And we had, like, the kids were not used to not having a car.
Right.
To move about and all of that. And now we had to literally not have a car, live in a condo, like, just manage to walk in a way that you're not disturbing the person underneath, right?
Yeah.
And the kids were not used to that because where they're coming from, they're very comfortable. We had our own house. We had cars and like they were going to very good schools. So then it's not just taking a toll on me. It's taking a toll on especially my 4-year-old. My daughter didn't understand because she was but my son already had friends and all of that. So then I'm trying to manage myself and manage how difficult it is being in this new environment.
Yeah.
Trying to manage helping my son fit in, find the right daycare. And then I'm also trying to have an education,
Yeah.
right? Because that's a very integral part of that's the route we came in through.
Exactly. I mean,
So,
there's so many elements here. There are so many things at play, so many things to think about. I'm curious,
mhm.
just like really practically speaking. So you were going to school in person,
Mhm.
right? This wasn't online still?
It was online for a bit,
Okay.
and then it got fit because like the course I did, photojournalism, is a very hands-on course.
Yeah.
So then some of the courses you could do online, but some of them you just had to be there in person.
Right.
So then they were talking about how do we do it? We need to come back in person.
Yeah.
And some of the classes were at 8 a.m. and I lived in the Northeast, and my school seat was in the Northwest, and that Northwest closer to downtown.
Yeah.
So that was about, if you're driving, that would take you 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But if you you didn't have a car and you had to go with transit, that would take you about 2 hours.
Oh my
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, so I had to wake up very early when it was still very dark every day, drop off the kids at daycare, and sometimes we'll just open the door and it'd been snowing all night, and then the snow is this high, and then you have to push a stroller in the snow that hasn't been cleared, and then you have to do that as quickly as possible because you need to get on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can get to school on time for your class.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I was always tired.
Yeah.
I was literally always tired because I had to do school, and there were so many assignments with photojournalism. Like, you have to go and cover different stories and all of that. But at the same time, you remember you still have to come home and take care of the kids. You have to do your assignment. You had to take care of yourself as well.
Yeah.
And the weather was just, I remember one day after dropping my daughter at daycare, and dropping my son, because they were in two different daycares.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember rushing to get the bus. And as I was rushing, like, I wasn't even thinking, I just didn't want to miss the bus because I would have to stand out in the cold
Yeah.
and wait for the next bus, which would take about maybe 20 minutes to come. Two, it would extend the number of hours that it will take for me to get to school.
Yeah.
Three, I would be late for my lecture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh God, that's the bus. And I was running. I was like, I wasn't thinking, I was just running. I mustn't miss that bus.
Yeah.
And then I just stepped on black ice. And I went and landed on my back on the floor, like, oh my God. Like,
did you just like start sobbing?
I
would've
couldn't even,
that would have broken
I
me.
couldn't cry. Like, all I wanted to was, I needed to not miss
I
the
know.
bus.
Oh my God, so you just like got up and like
I couldn't even get up. It was that slippery. Like, I literally crawled to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
First of all, did you make the bus?
I did. Because
Did the bus driver see
the bus driver saw me. Everybody saw me.
No, that
like,
is my nightmare.
Cars stopped and they were looking at me as I was crawling off, and the bus driver just waited. And immediately I got on the bus and showed he was like, "Are you okay?" That was when I was like, "Oh yeah, am I okay?"
Yeah.
And then I just went and sat and I started sobbing.
Oh.
And the only thing I could think about at that point was, is my camera good? Because I had my camera in my backpack and I had so many things with me. So like, I was like, have I broken my camera? Like, this is my investment. It mustn't break. So I started to check. I was like, oh, thank God, it's okay. And then I just started sobbing.
Yeah.
Because I was tired.
Yes.
I was in pain. I was like, hope I hadn't broken anything. Like, I wasn't even bothered about breaking a bone.
No, it's not that though.
Yeah.
Moments like that, everything comes to a head and you're just like, I am struggling. Yeah. Like, it's not, and it's just like, again, it's not even like you're like, I'm in so much physical pain that I want to cry. It's just like, you have this moment, you're like, I am not okay.
I'm not okay.
This is not okay. Yeah.
I just felt like, oh, am I a zombie? Like, I'm just going through every day and trying to survive, even though it's not making sense.
Yeah.
And so, it was horrible.
That's crazy. That story is like so heartbreaking for so many reasons. And I just like, because it's like, again, everything that you're describing would just be awful for anyone. I mean, being in this position of being kind of like having to be a single parent for 2 kids, 2 young kids, just like that, period. Like really difficult situation for anyone to be in, much less being in school. And then it's like, it's the dead of winter. You don't have a car. Like all of these things you're describing, I'm like, that is just really hard, full stop. And then you add on the additional layer and pressure of like, this is a new city. I don't have a support system here. My family's not here. My friends aren't here. I don't have someone I can call and just be like, this is a crazy day. Can you just pick up the kids? And I just need a second. There's none of that. And then you're also like, I have to make this work. Did I make a mistake? What is happening? Like, I'm just like, that is so much. That is so much. And we're talking about this moment, this like breaking point. And I'm sure there were many more, as there definitely would have been for me.
Yeah.
This entire season, for the first, few months or, year or so, what was your mental health like in general? What was your process of kind of being like, I'm excited, I'm not okay, I just have to go through the motions and not think about it. I actually need help. Like, what was that journey like?
It was a lot. It was really a lot. Like, I felt like it provoked so many other emotions that I thought I had already dealt with before even moving to Canada. So then it put me in a state where I was like, oh my gosh. Because there was one time I also had frostbite.
Oh, actually?
Yeah, I did have frostbite, like terrible frostbite in the worst part of my body, like where nobody would have ever thought. I remember being in so much pain. I was like, what's happening to me?
I'm sorry, this was after how long in Canada?
This was after the first month.
You got frostbite within a month of being here.
I did.
That is so
That's to
awful.
show you how exposed I was to the, like,
oh, Lord.
When I had this pain, because it was on my lap and my knee, like everywhere there. So like, when I had this terrible pain, I didn't know what it was. No one knew what it was because everybody expects you have frostbite on your fingers or your toes or something like that. And so I was in this much pain, and then I was just thinking about it one day, and I was like, could this be? I don't know what happened. I think it just happened after I prayed. And I was like, some voice just told me, could this be frostbite? And then I started to Google, like, can you actually have frostbite on your knee and on your laps? And then I found out that I actually could. So then I had to see a doctor. And the doctor felt so bad for me. Like, he was like, have you been wearing? I said, no. He was like, so how do you sleep out? I said, no. Like, I couldn't even explain how exposed I was to the weather that I had to get that frostbite. Because, there's just so many things to unpack. Yeah. And I feel like this whole episode might not even be enough, but there was just so much. And
so, what were some of those things that you're like, I thought I dealt with this feeling. I thought I dealt with that was starting to come up during this experience.
So at that point, I realized that I hadn't even gotten over losing my mom.
Join us for the rest of this conversation in part 2 of this episode, which you can find by searching Diary of a Niger Immigrant on cjsw.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Diary of a Niger Immigrant is presented by Afros in the City in collaboration with Through Onyie's Lens.
You can keep up with us on Instagram by following Afros in the City, following Through Onyie's Lens, and of course, following Diary of a Niger Immigrant. Once you've done all that, just keep listening. Rate us, review us, love us, root for us. Until next time.